us all on here today. We are talking to Brodie Summers, who is a Moguls athlete. Hey, Brodie, give us a big wave.
Hey guys, how you doing?
So Brodie, we'll introduce you to our schools to start off with. So we have joining us North Lakes Public School. Can you guys give us a big wave? Hello. And we also have North Lakes Public School are in New South Wales, and we also have California Gully Primary School in Victoria. Give us a big wave. And we've got one more school, Cooper Pedy Area School, who are in South Australia. So I'm sure they'll be jumping back on in a minute. So Brodie, do you want to start off by just giving us a little introduction on who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name's Brodie Summers. I'm a freestyle. I went to Olympic Games in Russia, and I'm currently training to make it his next career. And
Uh-oh. Bear with us, guys. I'm sure we'll get Brodie back in a second. He's just having a technical difficulty, I think. But I'm sure have you all got some big questions ready to go lined up?
Yes.
Yes, very good. All right, Brodie, you're back. Is that better?
I'm back,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Got good connections from our schools. There we go. You're just freezing on us a little bit.
Yeah, I'll put off my
Well,
currently.
okay.
I'll just be one moment.
No worries. We'll wait for you. I think we have another school joining us as well. I'll just make sure they've got the link.
Right, just taking a little bit of time.
There we go. Is that any better? Just got a bit of a slow connection.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah. Is that any better?
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay, cool. No problem. So how
Alright,
much
so
of my introduction did you hear?
Not very much. Why don't you start again for us?
All right, I'll take it from the top. My name's Brodie Summers. I'm a freestyle Moguls skier on the Australian ski team and training towards the 2018 Winter Olympics in Korea in February next year. And I've done one Olympics so far in my career. And I've just come off the back of my best World Cup season yet. Got my first few podiums. And I'm just having a lot of fun training hard with my teammates at the moment. And I'm looking forward to February next year.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Now, we've also been joined just then by Our Lady of Help Christian School as well. So welcome to them. So Brodie just gave us a little bit of an introduction. Hi, guys. And just that he competed in the Sochi Olympics in 2014, and now he's training hard to try and make his second Olympic team. So we're going to start taking some questions. We're going to have our first question, North Lakes Public School. Would you like to get up and in a big voice say your name and let us know what your question for Brodie is? Oh, hold on. Big loud voice. There we go.
Hi, my name is James. My question is, if Moguls Skiier wasn't for a sport.
Okay, so
Sorry,
I think that was if you weren't a mogul skier, what sport would you do?
Oh, if I wasn't a mogul skier, I'd probably. Well, I'd like to be a professional cyclist, but I think I might be a bit too big and heavy for that. But I do love it as a sport.
Good question. All right, we're going to have our next question from Our Lady of Help. Are you guys ready to have a question? Ask a question.
Hello, my name is Madison, and my question is, how do you feel competing in your sport? How do you feel while competing in your sport?
Okay.
It's cutting out quite a bit.
That was, how do you feel when you're competing in your sport?
Oh, that's a good question. Mogul skiing is one of those sports where there's just so much going on all at the same time. It's really kind of an overload of emotions and feelings, and the best way I would say is excitement. You push out the start gate and it's just full gas until you cross the finish line, and it's just excitement the entire way down.
California Gully, do you have a question for us?
Yep, and wait, it's unmuted. Yeah, oh no, it isn't. Oh, yeah.
All good. Oh, hold on, I've got you on mute now. Okay, go again. You're off mute now.
Hi, I'm Keith.
Oh, big loud voice.
Who encouraged you to ski?
Okay, there we go.
Who encouraged me to ski?
Yes.
So I'm very lucky to have parents that were always there to support me with whatever I wanted to do when I was a kid. So I used to play a lot of tennis when I was younger. And then when I discovered skiing, I just got really, really excited by it. And my mum and dad were good enough to support my dreams in that. And they basically let me chase my goals. And I had people to look up to. We have Dale Beck-Smith, who's won the Olympic medal for Australia in Torino and in Vancouver. And I've also got great teammates as well who I've looked up to. And that's where I get a lot of my inspiration in skiing.
Great question. Okay, North Lakes, do you have a question for us? Oh, you're just dropping out. Just one more time.
My name is Kira, and how do you stay healthy?
How do I stay healthy? Oh, good question. It's a combination of a lot of things. So working with the New South Wales Institute of Sport and the Olympic Winter Institute of Australia, I have quite a lot of support people around me to help me with nutrition. So what sort of food I eat. I need to make sure I eat healthy food so that I'm recovering well from training. And then we have physiotherapists who make sure my body's staying in good shape. And then I have gym trainers who help me to prep my body for training and make sure that I'm strong enough to be able to do everything that I need to. And yeah, everyone works together as a team, and I'm really fortunate to have that around me so that I can compete at my best when I need to.
Good question. Okay, Our Lady of Help, it's your turn now.
Hi, my name is and my question is, how do you pick yourself up after a disappointment?
Oh, another good. You guys are full of good questions. That's I think that's something that you learn as you become a more mature athlete. Is the nature of competition is that there's always going to be winners and losers. And what I found is really helpful for me with learning how to conquer disappointment, overcome it, is just sticking to. So I analyze the event and I look at what went well and what didn't go so well, and I take the positive with the negative, and all I try and do is learn from the negative experience and try and focus on those things that didn't go so well in training, so that the next time I compete, it won't be a problem again.
Great question. Okay, California Gully, your turn.
My question is, my name's Shelby, and my question is, what motivated or inspired you to play Moguls Skiing, and what sports have you played in the past?
Okay, so what inspired me was, I remember when I was a young kid, when Dale Beck-Smith won the gold medal for Australia at the 2006 Olympics in Torino. And I saw him skiing his run from top to bottom, and I was just, I'm pretty sure I said to my mum on the couch, I said, "Mum, I'm going to go to the Olympics for that sport one day." I just watched him do it and thought that was absolutely incredible, totally inspirational, and he still is. I got to compete with him as a teammate in Sochi, which was amazing for me, and he still hangs around with the team from time to time, and he's always been an inspiration in my career and continues to be. And sorry, the second part of your question again?
What other sports did you play growing up?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, other sports I played growing up. I was a very athletic kid as a child. I loved running. I loved tennis. I loved soccer. I played a little bit of AFL. Basically, any opportunity that I could use to get outside and be active, I would take it, and yeah, I would just seize it and be outside and having fun. That was for me the best way to spend my time.
Awesome. Okay, North Lakes, your turn now.
I'm going to say something. How do you train in Australia?
So it depends what phase of my training I'm in. So the really cool thing about mogul skiing is that there is so much that you need to focus on, that training actually has to be really varied. So at the moment, I'm actually at the ski fields in Australia. I'm training at Perisher Blue, and I've got a day off today, but I'll be back on snow tomorrow. And we have a really good training course here, and we actually have a lot of the best teams in the world from Canada and France and America and wherever else, all coming out to train in Australia over the next coming weeks, because we do have such a great facility. But then also at other points in the year, I just have to travel a lot. So being a mogul skier, it means I have to spend a lot of time away from home. So between now and after the Olympics in February next year, I think I get to spend 5 weeks at home total, broken up in a few days here and there, either side of training camps. So it's a lot of travel. We go to places like Switzerland and Canada, and basically wherever we can get on a facility at that time of year to train on, that's where we'll be, and we'll be getting the job done.
Excellent. Now, Our Lady of Help, it's your turn to ask a question.
How did you feel? My name is Marco, and how did you feel when you got the letter that you were in the Olympics?
That was, well, so for me, I remembered when I qualified at the last Olympics, at the very last qualification event before the games, and it was only a couple of weeks beforehand. And I knew what I had to do on the day of that competition to get my spot, and I ended up having my best result of the season that day. And I just remember the feeling was, it was just euphoric. It was pure elation, and I just knew that all my hard work had really paid off, and I was where I really wanted to be. And then all I had to do from that point on was, keep training and getting better until the Olympics a couple of weeks later. So, yeah, the best way I can describe it is it's really rewarding to know that all your hard work is worth it and it's paid off.
That was a great question. Okay, California Gully, your turn.
Hi, my name's Caleb. When you're competing, is it harder to go first or last?
So Moguls is one of those sports where that actually does play a bit of a part. So in the World Cup tour, they have they run the top, so they randomize the top 30 athletes and run them, and then everyone who is outside of the top 30 ranking then will be randomized and they will go afterwards. And it's a bit of an advantage to go earlier because the course is in better condition. So the later you go, the more skiers that have been down the course, the more chewed up the snow is, and generally the more challenging it'll be to get down cleanly. So earlier is often better, but at the same time, it's a judge sport. So if you go too early, for example, I was number 1 out the gate in a World Cup in Calgary this year, and I had a run that I thought was quite a decent run. It should have been quite good, a good scoring run. And because I was the first person out the gate, my score was very low. And then the judges gradually picked up their scores throughout the day. So that worked against me. But it's very rare that something like that will happen. And that's the nature of a judge sport. And you just know that going in. And ultimately, all you really have to do there is be so good that they have no excuse other than to put you in finals anyway.
Great question. All right, North Lakes, it's your turn.
Hi, my name is Slater. What is the best race you have ever won?
What's the best race I've ever won? Is that the question? Yeah. Okay. I think there's actually we have an event at Mount Buller in Australia every year, and it finishes our training in Australia in our ski season here. It's called the ABOM Mogul Challenge, and it's really just it's not a super serious event, but we all take it really seriously because there's a lot of pride that goes with winning that event in Australia, and it's a great opportunity to basically put on a show for the crowd, and we race each other side by side down the Mogul course whilst doing all our big tricks and trying to show off as much as possible, and the crowd goes crazy, and we all have a great time because we can just push ourselves to the absolute limit, and the excitement levels are just really, really high in that event. So I've won that 2 times so far, and one of those times was last year, and I'm looking to back it up again this year in a couple of weeks' time. So I'll, next time we catch up, I'll let you know how that went.
Good luck for that race. All right. Our Lady of Help, your turn.
Hi, my name is Joseph, and my question is, how do you feel when you don't win?
When I don't win? So I guess there's a few different parts to that. All I'm really looking at when I compete is, did I do my job? Did I compete the way that my coaches and I planned for me to compete? And if I did my job, then I'm really happy with that because I executed the plan exactly the way I was supposed to. And there's a lot of strategy that goes into competing at such a high level. So ultimately, you always, being very competitive like I am, and I'm sure many of you are, you like to win, and it's very rewarding to win. But at the same time, if I put down an amazing run and I did everything that I was supposed to do and I didn't win the event, or maybe I was a few places down, but I still had a great performance, I'll be very happy at the end of the day because I did exactly what I wanted to do on the day. And then on top of that, it's, if you do exactly what you want to do on the day and then you end up winning the event, then that's a great bonus that you're sure to enjoy.
Good question. Okay, California Gully.
Hi, my name is Dakota. Have you ever had any seriously bad injuries or broken any bones?
Yes, I have. mogul skiing is one of those sports that isn't so good for your body after a few years of doing it. I've had a few problem areas, but the main one is I've had lower back trouble in the past. I've broken it before. I've bruised my spine, and at the last Olympics, I skied through some bulging discs in between the vertebrae in my lower back. So that was extremely painful. But I mean, it's part of the sport, and at the moment, I've been going injury-free for quite a while now, and I've done a lot of rehab, and I know, being a more mature athlete now, I know how to look after my body, and those are the sort of things that I recommend to young athletes, is to learn as much as you can about your body as early as you can in your life, because it'll save you in the long run, and hopefully you won't have to worry about little injuries like I've had to deal with in my career.
All right, the next question from North Lakes Public School.
Hi, my name is Mia. How do you keep a strong mind?
How do I keep a strong mind? That was the question? Yeah. Well, I have a sports psychologist that I work with, who is provided via the Olympic Winter Institute of Australia, who I train with, and we use quite a few different techniques, and we use all of these ongoing throughout the year, in training, out of training, such as meditation, and I use different apps that will track my physiological data, so like my heartbeat, how fast it's beating, and my breathing rate, and things like that. All of these things I can use to help me get into what we call an optimal state of sort of mental arousal, so that when I'm in the start gate, I'm able to think really clearly, and I'm able to push all of the distractions aside and just focus on exactly what I need to do when I'm skiing down the run.
Great question. Thank you very much. All right, Our Lady of Help, your turn.
Hi, my name's Annabella, and my question is, other than skiing and cycling, what do you believe you could also be good at?
There's many things that I believe I could be good at. Whether or not I'm right is another thing entirely. I don't know. Other than sport, I'm actually also studying at university, so that when I do retire from skiing, I'll have something that I can move on to in my life, and something that I can focus all of my time and energy onto. So at the moment, I'm studying a business specialist degree in banking and finance at Monash University, and that occupies quite a lot of my spare time outside of training. So I like to think that by the time I finish my degree, I'll be pretty good at that. So yeah, hopefully, if everything goes to plan, that'll be the case.
Awesome. All right, California Gully, your turn.
Hi, I'm Daisy. My question for you today is, how long is the Mogul course?
How long is a Mogul course? It is, so they vary. So there's a specification which courses must be built within, but there's a bit of a range within that. So an average Mogul course will be about 250 meters long, and there's 2 jumps in that course and 3 sections of moguls, with a really long one in the middle, where we end up skiing quite fast, usually about 10 to 12 meters per second. And it usually takes us about 25, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more seconds to get down the run.
Awesome. All right, North Lakes Public School, do you have another question for us?
Hi, my name is Olivia, and my question is, how did you start doing this sport and why?
Can you just say that one more time? Nice, clear voice.
My name is Olivia, and my question is, how did you start doing this sport and why?
How did I start doing the sport and why? I had a friend who, when I was in, I believe it was year 7 when I was in school, who was a part of the club program at Mount Buller where I learned where I started skiing, Team Buller Riders, and I saw him skiing moguls, and I thought that looks like a lot of fun. So I gave it a go and ended up picking it up quite quickly and really falling in love with the sport straight away. I think the following year I begged and pleaded with my parents, and they signed me up for that program the following year, and then I never really looked back. I just got completely obsessed with the sport, and 2 years later I was living up at Mount Buller during term 3 and studying while I was skiing, and then a couple of years after that I started moving up to New South Wales and training with the Australian national team, and since then it's been a big part of my life.
Awesome. The rest is history.
Yep.
Alrighty, Our Lady of Help, your turn for a question.
It's Carl, and for you is what's the best part of the Olympics?
Ooh. Well, I think there's a lot of really, really cool parts about the Olympics, really amazing things about it. But for me, definitely the best part about the Olympics was actually getting to put on my uniform, my Australian uniform, and represent my country. And put on my Australian uniform and represent my country at the biggest event in the world for us. And outside of that, once the event's over, Moguls is always in the first couple of days of the Olympics, so we actually have quite a lot of time to enjoy the whole experience, and we get to go to a lot of different events and support our teammates. And I remember in Sochi I went to a lot of ice hockey games and things like that. It was really exciting to watch.
Awesome. Now I think we've been joined by another school, Papiti. Can you guys give us a big wave from South Australia? How's it going? Hi. There is a half an hour time difference in South Australia, so I think it's only 2 o'clock there. Guys, we've been asking Brodie some questions. Do you guys want to kick us off and ask a question from your school? Who wants to start off? Oh, put you off mute.
Mute. Wait, what, Dan? He looks so confused. He's like, what?
Alright. Who's got a question for us, guys?
I did not sit down.
Okay.
Okay. How famous are you? I'll ask Max.
Yeah. Ask away.
Hello.
Hiya.
How famous are you?
That's a good question. Not very. Mogul skiing isn't a huge sport in Australia. It's definitely a sport that I do just for the love of it. You don't earn a huge amount of money being a mogul skier. You don't see yourself on TV all the time. Although we are on Eurosport throughout our competition season, which is during the Australian summer. I spent a few hours on Eurosport during the season, and Mum and Dad are always recording it. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, compared to an AFL player or something like that, not too famous at all.
All right, California Gully, do you guys have another question for us?
Hi, I'm Charlie, and my question is, how long have you been training for, and how often do you train a week?
Good question. I started properly training mogul skiing in 2007, so about 10 years now. And that at first that was pretty casual. I was only going skiing on the weekends with my family during the Australian winter. And then after a couple of years, it started getting pretty serious, and I was in the gym most days of the week. And then once I got onto the Australian national team, basically my whole year was planned out and structured for me. And these days, I can tell you what a typical training day for me looks like while I'm training in Perisher at the moment. I get up at 6 a.m. I get to training. We warm up and we get on snow just before 9 a.m. and then I'll ski until anywhere between 12 and 1:30 p.m. And then I come down for a quick lunch and then I go straight to the gym. I work out for about an hour and a half, and then I usually do video review with my coaches because they video all of my training for technical purposes. And then after that, I'll get some physio, and then I go home, I cook dinner, and I do it all again the next day.
Awesome. Very busy day.
Yep.
All right, Cooper, you haven't asked many questions. Do you have another question for us?
It's our computer. Our laptop.
Guys, do you have another question for us? All right, we might come back to you guys. Our Lady of Help, do you have another question for us?
Hi, my name is Evie, and how do you encourage and motivate yourself before a competition?
Well, it's coming into a competition, that's usually when motivation is at an all-time high, because being a very competitive person, you just get really excited, and you basically do anything you can to make sure that you have the best event that you possibly can. So yeah, coming into competition, I get really excited, but I think where finding motivation gets more challenging is during periods like the one I'm in now, where I'm in a very high training load period and I'm getting very tired, and I know I've still got quite a lot to get through, and in those sort of situations, that's when I think about the big goal. So for me, the Olympics next February, or the first World Cup of the season in December this year, or those are the sort of things when I'm in a really hard training session. I think about on event day, how do I want to feel when it comes to event day, and that usually, I want to make sure I'm feeling in tip-top shape and feeling really good about where I'm at with my form. So that's what I think about when I'm having the hard training sessions, and I just hold on to that thought when it's really starting to hurt and my legs are screaming at me or something like that.
Awesome question. All right, California Gully. Do you guys have one more question for us? There we go.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Nathan, and my question is how long did it take you to learn to ski? How long did it take you?
Okay.
I didn't quite catch that.
I think that one was, how long did it take for you to learn to ski, and how long have you been skiing for?
It took me. Well, I started skiing when I was 2 years old with my family at I think Falls Creek, and I would go to the snow for one weekend every year on a family holiday. And then, like I mentioned before, when I started in 2006, that's when I just started going every weekend, and basically Team Buller Riders had to teach me how to ski for that whole first season, because I was not too good, even though I thought I was very good. I was a bit embarrassing when I look back at the video of it now. and then after 2006, I was a pretty competent all-round skier, and that's when I could really start focusing on specialization in the Moguls discipline. Great
question. All right, do we have any sound in South Australia yet? Can you guys hear me? Hi. Can you hear me now? Definitely. So, guys, does someone have a question for Brodie? Oh, we may have lost them again. We will come back. Our Lady of Help, would you guys like to ask one last question for Brodie?
Hi, my name is Matthew, and I would like to ask, who do you support in AFL, and who's your favourite player?
That's a good question. I'm a West Coast fan because I was born in Perth, so that's my reasoning behind that. And as for a favourite player, I don't actually have one. I love to watch the footy. It's great entertainment, but don't call me un-Australian. I don't follow it religiously. So just because I spend so much time away from home during the year when I'm overseas, it becomes quite hard to keep up to date with all the results and watch all the games. So yeah, I'm a West Coast supporter, but I'm just happy to watch the games, and I don't have a particular favourite player in mind.
Awesome. All right. So I think in South Australia, their microphone's not working, so they're going to might type through some questions, but I have one for you. What's a typical day of your diet look like when you're training and getting ready for the Winter Olympics?
I was actually at a dinner last night where I was sitting next to the Chief Operating Officer of Rowing Australia, and he was telling me all about the strict diet program that he's got the rowers on, and I was just thinking, if they heard what I eat, they'd be very, very jealous, I think. But yeah, I mean, for me, I don't have to worry too much about a weight requirement or anything like that. As long as I'm strong and my muscles are strong enough to be able to lift my body weight and move as fast as I need to, then weight's not a huge issue. So I'll wake up in the morning. I usually have a bowl of granola with banana and some soy milk, and then I'll have a coffee and a couple of slices of toast, and then I'll head off to training. And then during training, I'll usually eat probably 1 or 2 muesli bars, an apple, and like a little muffin or something like that as a little pick-me-up, and then come home for lunch. That usually involves eggs of some sort. I like scrambling eggs, having that on toast, and probably another coffee on some days if I feel like I need a little perk up before the afternoon training session. Then I go to the gym. After gym, I'll have a protein recovery snack. So that's usually yogurt, something like that, with a little bit more muesli, and some fruit. And then I'll try and hold out and not snack too much before dinner. But if I do, I'll usually try and stick to some better foods like fruit, like apples or something like that. And then a nice big dinner. Usually, I actually really like Asian food, so like a stir fry of some sort with chicken and vegetables and rice gives me all the energy that I need for the next day and gives me lots of protein for recovery and nutrients, things like that. And then chocolate's probably my biggest weakness, so there's always a couple of pieces of chocolate after dinner, and then it's early to bed, so I can get up early the next morning. Awesome.
Now, Cooperpedia have sent us through a question. They want to know, did you enjoy PE when you were a teenager, just like that?
Did I enjoy PE?
Yeah.
Yeah, loved it. One of my favorite classes. As I mentioned before, I was always a really active kid, and for me, I loved PE. I did it all the way through year 12 as well. So it was a great class for me when I was younger. The opportunity to just, usually be outside and playing with mates, and then as I got older to actually learn more about the body and how it operates and how it functions, for me was really relevant as an athlete. That was when I was really starting to take skiing seriously, and it helped me gain a deeper understanding of my body so that I could really maximize my potential in the sport.
Awesome. All right, well, we might wave Brodie goodbye and let him get back to training and his busy schedule, but we're going to chat to him again before he prepares. So can we all give Brodie a big wave?
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks, Brodie. We will chat to you again soon.
Okay, looking forward to it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.